Hi everyone. So I welcome all my dear students to this our brand new YouTube channel GST Park, and I'm sure that you guys are studying well. In this GST Park, a brand new YouTube channel, we are going to start with the revision series. So I'll be starting with the revising the revising chapter wise, so that the students, you will be able to recall all the sections provisions which we have already discussed in our classroom. I hope you are going to enjoy this, and this will be a beneficial video to you all. First of all, we will start with the supply chapter, and we will go to the registration chapter, followed by charge chapter, followed by composition, all these things. Okay, we'll go in the order, the same order that we have discussed in our classrooms. I believe and I hope that you enjoy this. Starting with the first chapter, which is supply. Okay, first we will start with the supply chapter, and you remember that supply chapter mein we started with the goods, the definition of goods, section number 2, subsection 52. Section number 2, subsection 52 says that anything which is movable from one place to another place but excludes money and securities, but includes, what are the things included? The included things are actionable claims, growing crops, grass and things attached to the land forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before the supply or under a contract of supply. Correct? No? See here again, what are the goods? Anything which is movable. So movable properties are included other than money and securities, but includes actionable claims, growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before the supply or under a contract of supply. Very important definition given in section number 2, subsection 52. And what is service, sir? Service means anything other than goods, but does not include. What is not included? Goods and money and securities. Goods, money and securities are not included, but what are included? Activities in activities relating to the use of money, its conversion from one form to another form, one currency to another currency, and from one denomination to another denomination, for which a separate consideration is charged. Remember, so if I give you 2000 rupees ka notes, you are giving me 100 rupees ka 20 notes. So I gave you 2000 rupees and you gave me 100 rupees ka 20 notes. In that case, there is no separate consideration which you have charged me, correct? So if I give you 2000 rupees ka one note and you gave 100 rupees ka 19 notes and 50 rupees ka one note, in that case, what has happened? You have charged 50 rupees for this service. Don't you think this is the service? I gave you 2000 rupees note because I had no change. So you gave me a change, no? So giving that change, that means you are helping me. In that case, you charge 50 rupees. That 50 rupees is a separate consideration. This is nothing but the service. Okay. So which is given in section number 2, subsection 102. What is service? Service is anything other than goods. First one, goods, money and security. But what is included? Activities which uses money. And what are these activities? Conversion from one form to another form, one currency to another currency, one denomination to another denomination. This is about the service. Goods and services, important two definitions which you have to keep in mind. Okay, later it is given as who is principal and what is competent authority. Not so important one. Principal is a person on whose behalf another person works. That person is principal. Competent authority means any government authority which is given as competent authority, which is notified by the government. Now remember, what is the meaning of family? Family is spouse and children. By default they are form family. And PGBS, P, G, B and S. What is PGBS? Parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters. If they are wholly or mainly dependent on you, then they are family. So that we have discussed in the class. And government means central governments. Local authority can be panchayat, municipality, municipal committee or cantonment board, regional council, development board, regional council constituted under article number 371A. So not so important one, but keep this in mind. So that is about the authority. Next one, consideration. Remember, there are two types of consideration. One is in the form of money, which is payment made. but does not include what subsidy given by central government or a state government. Remember this, subsidy given by central government or state government is not a consideration. You have to exclude that. This is not the consideration. For example, I am selling COVID-19 ka vaccines. If I am selling COVID-19 vaccines for 1500, central government gave me 500 as the subsidy. Actual value is 1500. Central government gave me 500 as subsidy. Now what is the consideration? Only 1000 rupees. 1000 rupees will be the consideration, because that 500 rupees given by central government, it is not the consideration. If this 500 was given by now Nagendra Bhakta and Co. Nagendra Bhakta and Co. In that case, this is not given by central government, no. So the value consideration is 1500, not 1000. It is 1500. If it is, remember that if it is given by central government or state government, then you have to exclude that subsidy. If it is given by any other person, please do include that. This is about consideration. See, I told that there are two types of consideration. One is in the form of money, and the second one is in the form of any act that you do. So this is the monetary value of any act or forbearance that is done, and again it won't include what? Subsidy given by the central government. It will not include any subsidy given by central government or a state government. Okay, so that is about the subsidy ka part and the consideration. The next one is actionable claims. What is actionable claim? You can take some action on that. That is nothing but actionable claim. Okay, so any claim, means a claim to any debt other than debt secured by mortgage, immovable property, hypothecation or pledge, or movable property. So basically, actionable claim means it does not include any pledge or hypothecation. So hypothecation and pledge is not included here. Actionable claims are those claims on which you can take some actions. So that is about actionable claim. Manufacture means, so what is manufacture? Where you convert the raw material or inputs into the output. Emergence of a new product is called as manufacture. So it is our common parlance mein, what is manufacture? What we understand by manufacture is nothing but conversion of input into output. That is what manufacture is. What is money, sir? Money includes any kind of that transactional value. So any kind of legal tender which can be the exchange for other commodity, and it should be given by the Reserve Bank of India. It should be recognized by Reserve Bank of India. Only those things will be considered as money. So it is Indian legal tender money or any foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, you name it, it is there in the definition of money, which is recognized by RBI. Now I'll give you one example. 2000 rupees notes, pink color note, old 2000 rupees notes, nowadays it is not considered as money by the government. Correct? No, it is not considered as money by the government, so don't take that as money. And at the same time, cryptocurrency, it is not recognized by RBI as money, so you have to exclude that. Any other thing, it can be check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, demand draft, pay order, traveler check, money order, postal or electronic remittance, UPI, everything is money. Next one, what is taxable supply? Means a supply of the goods or services on which tax is leviable under this act. What is the meaning of this act? CGST. What is taxable territory? Basically India and Indian territorial waters. So that is taxable territory. Which is not a taxable territory. A non-taxable territory is which is outside India or outside territorial waters of India. That is non-taxable territory. Now what is the meaning of India, sir? India includes everything. Article 1 of the constitution states that its territorial water is also included, land mass is also included, seabed, subsoil, underlying such water, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone or any other maritime zone as referred to in territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive zone and other maritime zone Act 1976. So anything, see India ka mass and territorial waters, seabed is also included, continental shelf and any land below the water, territorial water, everything is included. And you know that airspace above India. If this is India, airspace above India, that is also India. Without permission, no one can enter this territory. So this is India. Now who is supplier? In relation to any goods or service or both shall mean that the person supplying the said goods or services or both, and shall include an agent as well. The one who is supplying, that person, and his agent, that person is also included as the supplier. Now what is the meaning of recipient? Very important one. What is the meaning of recipient? Where consideration is payable, the person who pays the consideration is recipient. Where no consideration is payable, then the one who receives the goods or service, no, that person is considered as recipient. Remember, where consideration has to be paid, the person who pays the consideration is recipient of the goods or service. If consideration is not required, in that case the person who receives, actually the person who receives, no, that person is the recipient of the goods or services. So the importance of this recipient, no, that we will understand in place of supply chapter. Next, a person is nothing, can be an individual, he can be an HUF, he can be a company, he can be a firm, it can be a LLP, it can be an association, like this. Body corporate, central government, local authority, trust, every artificial juridical person, all these guys are considered as person, same as the definition which is given in your Income Tax Act. Okay, yes. So now, after studying about the definitions, important definitions, now we are going to the main concept, that is concept of supply. Now remember that we have discussed in the classroom that supply is the taxable event in GST. Earlier, taxable event was many things. Manufacturing was taxable event, and transportation of goods from one place, one state to another state was a taxable event. Correct? No? And there are many types of taxable events nowadays. That means after introduction of GST, there is only one taxable event. That taxable event is supply. Now we are going to discuss about what is the meaning of this supply. What is this supply? What are its the forms, that we are going to discuss in section number 7. Remember, section number 7, subsection 1, clause A. It is talking about all forms of supply. What are the forms of supply, sir? D, S, L, R, B, E, L, T. D for disposal, S for sale, L for lease, R for rental, B for barter, E for exchange, L for license, T for transfer. If these 8 items are considered as forms of supply, made or agreed to be made, that means it is not just happening. If you agree to make this in the future, no, so that is also considered as supply. For a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of the business. People, these 3 are very important condition. All forms, no, you name it, that is included. All forms, DSLR bed, made or agreed to be made for a consideration. There should be a consideration. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause A says that there should be a consideration, and in the course or furtherance of the business. That means if you are doing that supply in the course or furtherance of the business, only then it is included, otherwise it is not included. Please do remember that. So these are the 3 important conditions to call as a supply. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause A. Next one, section number 7, subsection 1, clause AA. So this is not so important one, but listen. The activities or transaction by a person other than individual to its members. Example, there is one association now, Flat Owners Association. Now the Flat Owners Association is giving some service. What kind of service? For example, cleaning the apartment, cleaning the garden, cleaning the tank. All these are the services which are given by this apartment association to the members of the association. Correct? No, association which is not an individual giving services to the members of the association. This is also one kind of service. No, that is also included. That is also supply. That is given in section number 7, subsection 1, clause AA. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause B. What it says? Importation of service. That is also supply. See, importation. There are 4 important conditions. If you import of service, second one is service, third one for a consideration, consideration should be there, and the 4th important one is in the course or furtherance of the business or not, whether or not for business purpose. If these four conditions are satisfied, then it is considered as supply. See, usually if I sell this, only then it was a supply, but this is one exception. This is not selling, this is purchasing from other country. Importation of service for a consideration, whether or not for business purpose. If all these four conditions are satisfied, then it is considered as supply. As simple as that. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause B, importation of service, that is also supply. Section number 7, subsection 1, clause C. If you can recall that, section number 7, subsection 1, clause A and B, in both the cases, consideration was important. Consideration has to be there, only then it is supply. But in case, there are some cases, there are especially 4 cases where even if there is no consideration, it will be considered as supply. You are giving goods, if there is no consideration, as per section number 7, subsection 1, clause A के हिसाब से, it is not the supply if there is no consideration. But here, if there is no consideration, even then it will be considered as supply. There are 4 important conditions in which even if there is no considerations, then it will be considered as supply. So that we will discuss soon. Schedule number 1 items. These are schedule number 1 items. Next one, section number 7, subsection 1A. There are certain activities which we had some doubts whether it is supply of goods or supply of service. Supply of goods hai or supply of service. So usually it is explained by the government in schedule 2. In schedule 2 it is explained by the government that whether it is supply of goods or supply of service. So that we are going to discuss soon in schedule number 2. And section number 7, subsection 2, which says that notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. Section number 7, subsection 1. We discussed about clause A, B and C, no? So which says that it is a supply, but here section number 7, subsection 2 says that there are some items, even though it looks like supply, it is not the supply. That we are going to discuss in section number 7, subsection 2, which says that notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1. Clause A, activities or transactions specified in schedule 3, negative list items, schedule 3, it is not considered as supply. At the same time, section number 7, subsection 2, clause B says that such activities or transaction undertaken by the central government, a state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council. Remember that there were 3 activities. So 3 activities are: 1, activities which are specified in article number 243G for panchayat, 243W for municipality. Correct? No, 243G for panchayat, 243W for municipality, and at the same time one more notification was given. That notification was liquor license. Liquor license given by state government, for which, see, if I get one liquor license for which I pay some amount, that amount is out of GST, there is no GST on that. So these were the 3 important things which were given in section number 7, subsection 2, clause B. Now we will discuss about section number 7, subsection 3. What section number 7, subsection 3 says? Some bakwas section it is. What it says? Subject to the provisions of subsection 1, 1A and 2, that means whatever given in subsection 1, 1A and subsection 2, that is correct. On the recommendation of the council, they may specify some as supply of goods and not supply of service, and some as supply of service and not as supply of goods. That means there are some items which will be considered as supply of service, not supply of goods, and something which will be considered as supply of goods and not supply of service. That means government has complete authority to say something as supply of goods and supply of service. Okay, so that is what given in section number 7, subsection 3. Not so important one. What are important things? This is section number 7, subsection 1, A, B, C, in which we have to discuss about section number 7, subsection 1, clause C now. The activities specified in schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without a consideration. So there is no consideration. We believe that section number 7, subsection 1, clause A says that if there is consideration, only then it is a supply. But there are some items, even without consideration, we can consider it as a supply. So what are these items that we have to discuss in schedule number 1? We will go to schedule number 1, very important one, people. All these things that we have discussed just now, see what is goods, what is service, all these things that we have discussed just now. Now directly we will go to this section number 7, subsection 1, clause C, the items which are not considered which are considered as supply even without consideration. So that we are going to discuss now here. Activities without consideration deemed to be supply. So activities to be treated as supply even if made without consideration. First number 1, para number 1, permanent transfer or disposal of the business assets where input credit has been availed on such assets. So if you remember, there are 4 items: PRAI, PRAI. Remember, PRAI, PRAI. P for permanent transfer or disposal of the asset, R for the supply of goods or services between the related person, supply of goods or services between the related person or deemed distinct person, or distinct person as specified in section number 25.4 and 25.5. A, agent, the supply of goods by principal to agent or by agent to principal. So that we will discuss. And I, importation of service. These are the 4 items: PRAI, permanent transfer or disposal of the asset on which ITC has been availed. If you have availed the ITC, only then it will be considered as supply. I'll give you one example. See, I purchase some goods. Example, I purchase some plastic buckets. I purchase some plastic buckets. Example, I purchased 10 plastic buckets. The value of 10 plastic buckets was 1200. I purchased 10 plastic buckets for 1200 and I paid 120 rupees. 120 rupees as GST. So totally I paid 1200 plus 120, which is 1320. Now what am I doing with this plastic buckets? I am selling these plastic buckets. What I have done, I sold 9 plastic buckets and 1 plastic bucket, I gave it to my wife free of cost. 9 plastic buckets I sold and 1 plastic bucket I gave it to my wife free of cost. And what has happened here? On all 10 plastic buckets I have taken ITC. I availed ITC on 10 plastic buckets. So what has happened here? 9 plastic buckets I used for my business purpose. Yes or no? I sold 9 plastic buckets. In the course or furtherance of the business, I sold it. But 1 plastic bucket I gave it to my wife free of cost. That is my permanent transfer or disposal of the business asset. Have I taken ITC on this 1 bucket? Yes, I took ITC on this 1 bucket. That means that 1 bucket which I use for my personal purpose, which is deemed as supply. Why? Because I took ITC. No. Can I take ITC if I am not the businessman? No. If I am using it for my personal purpose, I cannot take ITC. I cannot take ITC. That bucket, if I am using for my personal purpose, I cannot take ITC. Will a consumer get ITC? No. If I am using this bucket for my own purpose, then will I get ITC? No. I will not get ITC. If I have taken ITC, then this will be considered as supply. That is given in section number 7, subsection 1, clause C, schedule number 1, paragraph number 1. Next one, section number 7, subsection 1, clause C, schedule number 1, paragraph number 2. Supply of goods or services or both between related person or between distinct person as specified under section 25. First of all, we need to know who are related person. Related person can be, remember the definition of related person? Directly we will go to this part. Here we will get to know who are this related person. See, such person or officer, directors of one another's business. Such person are legally recognized as partners. Employer and employee, these two are related person. Third person controls or owns or holds more than or equal to 25% of the voting stock in both the other companies. Third person holding some holding some voting rights, which is more than or equal to 25% of the voting rights in two companies, then these two companies are related persons. One of them controls other, that means subsidiary and holding company. These two are related persons. Next one, third person controls both of them directly or indirectly. Such person together controls a third person. This is also important one. There are two companies, they together hold one more company. So in that case also this is related person. These two are related persons here. Next one, such person are members of the same family. If they are, such persons are members of the same, remember family ka definition, spouse and children, by default they are related persons, but the PGBS, parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, if these four guys are wholly or mainly dependent on the person, only then the person and these four are related persons. Otherwise they are not related person, they are not family. One of them is the sole agent and sole distributors. Sole agent or sole distributor, I have appointed one person who is my sole agent. So in that case, that person will be considered as my related person. So if they are my related person, I am transferring any goods without consideration, this will be considered as supply. This is related person, deemed as related person. Next, after that we discussed about the one more specified in section number 25. Distinct person as specified in section number 25. Remember section number 25 subsection 4, section number 25 subsection 5. Section number 25 subsection 4 के हिसाब से there is one PAN and there are two registrations. PAN is one and there are two registrations. If there are two registration, different registration, then these two persons are deemed to be distinct person, whether they are in one state or different states. So they are deemed to be distinct persons. Second type, section number 25 subsection 5 says that there is one business which is there in one state and one more business in another state. Two different states, and one is registered, other establishment is not registered. Even in that case, these two guys are considered as deemed to be distinct person. These two guys are considered as deemed to be distinct person. If the transfer of goods between one distinct person to another distinct person, if there is transfer of goods, not supply, their intention is not to sell but transfer some goods, but government says that it is supply. Why, sir? Because it is given in section number 7 subsection 1 clause C. Schedule number 1 paragraph number 2 says that transfer of goods from one distinct person to another distinct person as specified in section number 25.4 and 25.5, this will be considered as supply. And there was one proviso which is given, that is in case of gift not exceeding 50,000 by an employer to an employee. They are giving some goods or services worth rupees less than or equal to 50,000, then it is not the supply. If it is more than 50,000, for example 50,001 rupee, that will be considered as supply. Keep this in mind. So that was about paragraph number 2. Now paragraph number 3, which is about agent, PRA. Paragraph number 1 is permanent transfer or disposal of the business asset. Paragraph number 2 is between a related person. Paragraph number 3 is supply of goods by principal to agent or by agent to principal. What is the important condition here? Remember what is the important condition? By if, for example, there is two persons, principal and agent. Agent is supplying goods on behalf of the principal. Agent sent these goods to customer and he gave invoice in his name. Whose name? In agent's name. Supplier is agent, recipient is the buyer. So that means in this invoice, nowhere the name of principal is given. In that case, government will get one doubt. See, you are selling the goods which doesn't belong to you, yaar. Then how you can sell this? So the government says there is one deemed supply between agent and principal, because agent has raised the invoice in the name of agent and customer. So there is transfer of goods, no? This transfer of goods between principal and the agent will be considered as deemed to be supply. This is deemed to be supply here. Getting this? What if the agent has raised the invoice in the name of principal? Supplier, see, now the goods are sold by agent to the customer, and agent is raising the invoice in the name of principal. Seller is principal, buyer is customer. That means the agent is dummy here. So in that case, there is no deemed supply between principal and agent. I hope you can recall all these things. Same thing applies to the purchase also. And the last one, PRAI. I. Last one, see, there are 4 items. PRAI. I is importation of service. Remember, there are 5 conditions. Importation of services without consideration from a related person or own establishment outside the country or outside the taxable territory. And last one, 5th important condition is for business purpose. If you are importing service from a related person or own establishment without consideration should not be there, and that service you have taken for in the course or furtherance of the business, then in this case this will be considered as supply. See, remember section number 7 subsection 1 clause B mein, even there importation of service was supply, but there for consideration, but here without consideration. There section number 7 subsection 1 clause B mein, that was for consideration and whether or not for business purpose. But here section number 7 subsection 1 clause C schedule number 1 paragraph number 4 mein, importation of service without consideration and for business purpose. If it is not for business purpose, then it will not be considered as supply. So that was about schedule number 1. Later we discussed about schedule number 2. Fast, we will go to schedule number 2, which is given in section number 7 1A. Remember section number 7 1A. What is section number 7 1A? Whether supply of goods or supply of service. Whether it is supply of goods or supply of service. Wait, where it is? कहाँ गया? Correct, here. Activities or transaction to be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. Now there is schedule 2, which says that, fast, shall we recall? Paragraph number 1, which states that transfer of title in goods, it is supply of goods. Second one, transfer of right to use in goods without transfer of title. You don't transfer the title, you are just giving right to use, then it is supply of service. And the third one, any transfer of title in the goods under an agreement which stipulates that the property in the goods shall pass at the future date. See, that means hire sale. I am transferring you the goods, but every month you have to pay me some hire charges. On the payment of last hire charges, you will get the goods, title in the goods, that you will get it on the payment of last charge. So this is called as, this will be considered as supply of goods. If you see the examples here, Shivaji sells ready-made garments to his customers. He already sold it. But here, Genuine Equipments Limited gives a machinery on rent. It is not sale, it is on rent, giving the right. But here, Dhruva Capital supplied goods on hire purchase basis to the customers. Correct? No, hire purchase. Only on payment of last installment, the title in the goods will get transferred to the purchaser. Until then, it will not get transferred. Getting this? So this is about paragraph number 1. Next one, important one, paragraph number 2, which is land and building ka case. Any lease, tenancy, easement, license to occupy the land. So that will be considered as supply of service. Same thing in case of building also. Any lease or letting out of the building, including a commercial, industrial or residential complex for the business or commerce, wholly or partly, that will be considered as supply of service. Again, listen, we are not selling land and building, we are not selling land and buildings, we are just giving tenancy, easement, license for use, that's all. You occupy the land, you use it for some purpose, later you have to give it back. You have to leave that land, vacate that land. Or building. So in that case, both are supply of service. Both are supply of service. Remember, it is not selling the land and building, it is giving it on hire. lease or occupancy. Treatment or process on others goods. For example, your chair, the wheelchair, that wheelchair is not working, that wheel got stuck. So who am I? I am the repairer of that wheel. I'll do the repairing and I'll give that chair to you. So now what has happened here? I am not selling you the goods, I am just treating or processing your goods. In that case, this will be considered as supply of service. This is supply of service. See, the money dyeing house dyes the cloth given by Shubham Textile Limited as a job work basis. Correct? No. So they are taking the, what is the meaning of dyeing? Coloring the clothes. They get the clothes, not purchasing. They get the clothes from Shubham Textile Limited. They dye it and they give it back. They don't sell it. Now the money dyeing house, they don't sell it. They took the goods and they are working on that and they are giving it back. So this is called as job work. And in that case, this is supply of service, not supply of goods. Next one, transfer of business assets. So business asset ko transfer hi kar diya. So we are transferring the business asset. See, if the title is transferred, then it is supply of goods, no? See, goods forming part of the business asset are transferred or disposed of. That means sold. The title itself is transferred. Then it is supply of goods. See, it is no longer form the part of those business assets. Next one, goods held or used for business are put to private use. For example, I am purchasing one machinery and that machinery I am taking it home. Example, I purchase one laptop. That laptop I am taking it home for my private purpose, personal purpose also. To the extent I am using it for personal purpose, that will be considered as supply of service. Supply of service. See, a person manufacturing and selling wooden furniture takes one chair manufactured by him for use at his house. So he will use it and later he will give it back to the house, the business. Okay, so he is taking what he has manufactured, he's taking it to his house and later he will bring it back and he will sell that goods. So to the extent he is using it for his personal purpose, it is considered as supply of service. Next one, goods forming part of the assets of any business carried on by the person who ceases to be a taxable person shall be deemed to be supplied by him in the course or furtherance of his business. See, in the course or furtherance of the business, continue, immediately before he ceases to be a taxable person. Till now, till today, I was a taxable person. That means I was registered person. And I am applying for cancellation of registration. I cancelled my registration. Till today I was registered person, no. And if I have taken any ITC on the goods which were there in my godown, I have to reverse that. Why? Because tomorrow onwards I am not a registered person. That means any goods which are there in my godown, on which I have taken ITC, I am using it for personal purpose. Remember, if you are using it for personal purpose, you cannot take ITC. If you have already availed the ITC, you have to reverse it. For that purpose, any goods or services which you have, any goods which are there in your godown, one day prior to the date of cancellation of your registration or when you become ceases to be a taxable person, one day prior to the date of becoming a taxable person, if you have taken ITC on such goods, one day prior to that date, whatever the goods which are there, on such goods, if you have taken any ITC, then you have to reverse it. Remember, you have to reverse it. Why? Because you are no more a taxable person. You have taken ITC. That means goods which are there in your godown, you start using it for personal purpose. If you are using it for personal purpose, then remember you have to reverse that ITC. Because you have taken ITC, you are not allowed to take ITC. Arun, a trader, is winding up his business. Any goods left in the stock shall be deemed to be supplied by him. Why? Because he has taken ITC, no? If he has taken ITC, then he has to reverse it. If he has not taken ITC, then don't worry. Not to worry. There are some exceptions to this rule. Business is transferred as a going concern, then he will continue that, no? There is no need to reverse because that person will continue that business and he will get the ITC. Business is carried on by a personal representative who is deemed to be a taxable person. So that means if that person is a personal representative, legal hire, so in that case, that person will continue the business. See, if someone is continuing the business, then why we have to consider it as a supply? It's not a supply at all. That is about section number 7, subsection 1A, schedule number 2, paragraph number 4. Now paragraph number 5. Renting of immovable property. Following, see, there are 6 points here. See, A, B, C, D, E, F. There are 6 points here. All these 6 points are supply of service. All these 6 points are supply of service. Remember, number 1, first one, renting of immovable property. If you are renting an immovable property, that renting will be considered as supply of service. That we already know. No. See the example, there is one building. If I am giving you that building as on rent, so that rent which I get, no, that is for supply of service. I am getting one supply of service here. Next one, construction of complex, building, civil structure, etc. Construction of a complex, building, civil structure or a part thereof, including a complex or building intended for sale to a buyer. See, I am constructing one building for selling purpose. In that case, it will be considered as supply of service, provided some consideration you have to receive on or before the receipt of completion certificate or first occupancy, whichever is earlier. If you are receiving anything before the completion certificate or first occupancy, whichever is earlier, then that will be considered as supply of service. If you are receiving entire consideration after completion certificate or first occupancy, whichever is earlier, then it will be considered as supply of service. I'll give you one example. See, I am constructing one building. The construction is going on. I got the first occupancy. I got the first occupancy on 1st of April 2023. I got first occupancy on 1st April 2023 and completion certificate. I got completion certificate on 1st November 2023. 1st April 2023 first occupancy and 1st November 2023 it is completion certificate. Now which is earlier of these two? It is 1st of April 2023, that is first occupancy. First occupancy, which is 1st of April 2023, that is the earliest of these two. No. Now if someone has paid me the amount, might be one advance, 10,000 rupees advance for that building construction before this 1st April 2023. Before 1st April 2023, I got 10,000 as the advance. To that person, it is supply of service. Example, one more example. Mr. B, no, he is paying entire amount on 5th of July 2023. Then to that person, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Why, sir? Because entire consideration is given after this date. Entire consideration is given after the date of first occupancy or completion certificate, whichever is earlier. Earlier is 1st April 2023, no? After that, that means 1st of July mein he gave me entire amount. He has not given me any consideration before this date. That means to that person, to Mr. B, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. If he has given me even 1 rupee before 1st April 2023, in that case it was supply of service. There is one example here. Rani Builder has constructed individual residential unit for agreed consideration of 1.2 crore per unit. 90 lakh per unit were received before issuance of the completion certificate by the competent authority and its first occupation, and the balance after the completion. So this is one example, correct? No, he has received before. See, Rati Builders. So they got 90 lakh per unit were received before issuance of completion certificate. That means it is supply of service. No, if entire consideration was received after this date, then it was neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Okay, so now the term construction and competent authority. So its definition is given, not so important one. The temporary transfer. See next one. What we are discussing, section number 7, subsection 1A. In that, schedule number 2, paragraph number 5, subpara 3, third subpara now. Temporary transfer or permitting or use of enjoyment of any intellectual property right. Temporary transfer of patent. Example, temporary transfer, not permanent transfer. Temporary transfer will be considered as supply of service. Example, if I want to start Pizza Hut gave me the franchise. That franchise is temporary transfer of or enjoyment of IPR, intellectual property right, for which I am paying some rent. So that rent will be considered as supply of service. That person, Pizza Hut, is giving me supply of service. Next one, any services, anything related to the software, it will be considered as supply of service. Development, design, programming, customization, updation, upgradation, enhancement, implementation of IT software, all these are supply of service. Next one, fifth point, agreeing to do something. See, agreeing to do or refrain from an act or to tolerate an act. So this will be considered as supply of service. For example, what I'll perform a dance. You have to pay me 10,000 rupees. So that 10,000 rupees scale, I'll do one dance. No, that is also supply of service. I am dancing here. That dancing is to do something, that is supply of service. Not to do something. Example, I don't start. Okay, if you pay me 20,000 rupees, I will not take class anywhere else. I don't take class anywhere else. That is not to do something. No. So not to do something, refrain from doing something, or to tolerate something. Example, you have to pay me 20,000 rupees. If you don't pay me within 10 days, 21st day, 11th day onwards, you have to pay me 20,000 rupees. If you don't pay me within 10 days, 11th day onwards, I will charge interest. What is that interest? To tolerate your act. You have to pay me within 10 days, 11th day, 12th day, 13th day. Interest go on adding. I will go on adding the interest here. So that is also one kind of service. You are using my money, no? So that means I am leaving you to use my money. That means to tolerate something. I am tolerating your act here. Next one, transfer of right to use any goods for any purpose. Right to use. So that we have already discussed in paragraph number 1. Right to use. If I give the right to use one goods to you, then it is supply of service. Next one, following composite supplies. Example, works contract. Works contract, you remember works contract means a contract for building, construction, fabrication, specifically any immovable property. If anything is done on immovable property, wherein transfer of property in goods is also involved, supply of service is also there and supply of goods is also there, and that should be on immovable property, then it will be considered as works contract. So in case of works contract, it is supply of service. Next one, supply by way of as a part of any services in any other manner whatsoever of goods being food or any other article for human consumption or any drink. Where such supply or service is for cash, deferred payment or other valuable considerations. Nothing but restaurant. Usually we have one doubt that, sir, restaurant is giving food as well as some service, sir. So they are arranging that table, the chef is working, chef will cook something and he'll give all these things. No sir, whether it is supply of goods or supply of service, we have this doubt. Actually it is supply of service. Even though you get the goods, you get something to eat, still the government says that very important part is chef ka part. Correct? No, in that case he has to work there. So that work is very important one, that's why it is supply of service. This is about schedule number 2 that we discussed, and the last one is schedule number 3, which is as per section number 7 subsection 2, clause A. Schedule number 3, some of the items are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. So that we are going to discuss now. There are basically somewhere 6 points that you need to remember for your syllabus purpose. The purpose of syllabus. Non-supplies under GST. The activities which are mentioned in schedule 3 are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Starting from paragraph number 1, employees working for employer, no, that is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Employee working for employer. Don't you think employee is giving some service to the employer? That is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Why, sir? Because employees, if that is service, then they have to collect GST from the employer and they have to pay to the government. Every month they have to file their return. All these things will be a very difficult part to the employees. That's why government told no, that is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Next one, Services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. Services by any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. That, see, it is not about legal services. They are not talking about legal services. It is about any court or tribunal established under any law for the time being in force. Any fees that we pay to the court, no, this is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Remember, court के लिए if you pay any amount, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Next one, paragraph number 3 says that function performed by member of parliament, MLA, MP, or any other duties performed by any person holds any post in the pursuance of the provisions of the constitutions in that capacity. Example, judge or IAS, IPS, DC, all these guys, they are doing some work. That services, no, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So that next one, paragraph number 4, services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary, including transportation of the deceased. Transportation of deceased, not patient. Patient we will discuss in healthcare services exemption chapter. There we are going to discuss about this. So fourth point is about anything related to funeral. That is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Last one, fifth one, the sale of land subject to the paragraph number 5b of schedule number 2. Remember, see, if anything that you receive before the completion date or first occupancy, whichever is earlier. Completion date, first occupancy, whichever is earlier. Before that, if you receive anything, then it is supply of service. If you receive completion date or first occupancy, whichever is earlier, that date, after that if you receive entire consideration, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. I hope you can recall this. Correct? No. And one more, actionable claims. Actionable claims are neither supply of goods nor supply of service, except other than lottery, betting and gambling. LBG, lottery, betting and gambling. So this is supply of goods. Why supply of goods? We have discussed that in section number 2, subsection 52, actionable claims are goods. Correct? No. Here, section number 2, subsection 52 mein, actionable claims are goods. That's why lottery, betting and gambling, these three are supply of goods. Any other actionable claims, it is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. I hope you are thorough with all these sections. Section number 7, subsection 1, section number 7, subsection 1A, B, C, section number 7, 1A, section number 7, 2 and section number 7, 3. Very important one. So this is about supply ka some revision. In next class, we are going to revise about the supply chapter ka one more section, section number 8. And we will be continuing with registration chapter. Until then, people keep revising, keep looking for the update in icpark. I hope you are studying, and this revision classes, revision session, that is going to help you. That is helping you. I believe that. So until next class, keep studying, keep growing, people. Love you all. Bye bye.